Jones, and this is the Playwright's Corner. Today's special guest is Bryant Anderson, another creative in our storytelling community. And I say storytelling community instead of entertainment community because entertainment sounds kind of corporate. So I prefer storytelling because that's what we do. We tell stories in different forms. And so, Bryant, glad to have you on our program.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Glad you invited me.
Yeah, this is our third try.
yeah, we had some telecommunication problems there, but hopefully it's all worked out.
I think it is. All right, let's just jump right into it. Tell us, what do you do, and when did you first get interested in doing what it is that you do?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Bryant Anderson. I'm a screenwriter, a filmmaker here in Cleveland, Ohio. And I got into it, I've been kind of telling stories for a long time, even back when I was a kid in fourth grade. I'll never forget this. Miss McAdoo was my teacher in fourth grade. And I used to, while we were supposed to be doing bell work, I used to stare out the window. And I'd just be doodling or whatever, and I mean, she just saw me, and instead of, getting on me about it, so doing bell work, she just had me write a one-page story. So usually in the morning, while other kids were doing bell work, I was just writing little stories. She just took the initiative to see, that I was kind of different in that aspect. So I've been kind of telling stories ever since. And then, when I go to college, I took a screenwriting course and things like that. And then I just started telling stories all the time and, writing research papers and stuff. So I was writing a lot. So, and everything like that. So you're building stories in between there, to get your thesis and stuff like that across and everything. So that's how I kind of got started and just slowly built until what I do now, which is write screenplays and direct films and things like that, short stuff like that. Feature next year, 2023. So that's how I got up to this point here. And I had some, some recognizable things. I'm kind of known for my short, A Day of Racism. You can go see that on my You can see that on my Film Freeway page, and some of my screenplays have been selected into festivals and things like that. So now it's kind of like, okay, it's time to make the big push to get to the next level. So that's kind of where I'm going now.
Okay, great. That's I always love those stories about creatives getting started when they're kids, like in fourth grade or fifth grade, and something sparks their interest and they start to write, or maybe nowadays pick up a smartphone and start recording and creating something. That's always great to hear.
Yeah, I tell people, like if they're a teacher, and I talk, when I run into them, I'd say all the time, hey, you don't realize you might spark the next person to do something great. You gotta kind of like recognize that, and that, the kid that is kind of different, you gotta try to figure out why, what sparks them, and try to help them get in that direction. It might mean that you might have to, turn that child over to another teacher or something like that, or do something different with that child that you do with the rest of your class, And Miss McAdoo did that, and when I think about it, it was like the beginning of all of this here, So
yeah. And on that lines, how important do you think it is for young people to be interested and get into the storytelling business, so to speak, entertainment business, if you will, as writers or directors or actors? And how important is that art to the community?
Yeah, well, I think it should be part of the process of a child developing, growing up, they should learn reading, writing, and mathematics and, and certain technologies and things like that. But I think the creative side of writing and storytelling and stuff like that, I mean, that should be just as important. We make sports important in this country and everything, and we want all the kids to play sports in some way or another. We should also do the theater and all that stuff too, and don't bash a young man if he's on the debate team, but also play football, or if he plays basketball and he also does theater. You know what I mean? Kids should have a well-rounded, life growing up in this country, and we should be doing that. And the creative process and storytelling and arts and all that stuff should play a part too.
Yeah, I agree. And that leads to another question that I want to ask you about. First, I brought this up when I did my interview with Jabari Cole last time. And so I'll bring this up with you as well. There was a production, theater production company that was looking for young Black African-American men, particularly young men from the age of 13 to 21, to be in this play. But they couldn't find any young Black African-American men to be in this play. And so they had to postpone the play. What are your thoughts about that? For me, that's kind of disturbing to know that there aren't any young Black men who want to be in. There's a shortage, it seems like. And how do you feel about that?
Well, it's unfortunate, but that is going to happen because look at the priority. The priority is to play sports, and that's what the kids are pushed toward, and if the schools, if the public schools are not investing in the arts and things like that, then creative people like us, when we get out into the private sector and we're trying to do our projects, we're gonna have a hard time, getting those that type of personnel or whatever, so we just gonna have to change our strategy in terms of we're gonna have to do some grassroots type things. You know what I mean? We may have to do like some community theaters and things like that in terms of into certain neighborhoods and stuff like that, and try to get kids to partake and try it for the first time, and maybe do theater and just in front of their parents or their grandparents or the elders in the community. You know what I'm saying? Like get a little crew of kids together and maybe go to an elderly home, retirement home and things like that, and possibly do some theater for them and things like that, to spark some interest in their day, and it's going to take a grassroots effort. I always say when the supply chain, when there's no supply, you got to create the supply. And if we are short of talent in terms of young African-American males or just young African-Americans, we're going to have to do the grassroots things. We got to be like they were in the 1960s and 70s when there was no government funding or whatever. You just had to get it done. You just have to do it, get it done. Yeah. We come from a people that do that, through the history of our people here in this country, we get it done when we need to, so we just got to do it.
I agree. And it's important that they see more people who look like them, such as us, we too, to be present and visible for them.
Right. That is so true, and we just gotta like I always say, I always wanna when I do a project or something like that, I always wanna work with people who have experience, but work with people who don't have experience. So we all get into the same room, and then they can see how this person over here, how they kind of prepare for their role or whatever, and then then you give an opportunity to for that person to get their first project, things like that. And then you try to help them along the way too. We got to do more than just make our projects and then we move on and everybody go their separate way. We still got to communicate afterward and things like that. And say, hey, down the road, hey, you doing anything or blah blah blah, whatever. Trying to help them keep their enthusiasm up. Because they may run into a brick wall down the road. So you got to be there. Got to be a community thing. It got to go beyond just, hey, I'm going to pay you to do this or do that, and then the project is over. We can't look at it as employer-employee type thing. You know what I mean? Got to be more communicative and long term.
Right. Very good. Do you have any advice for any of the younger and older filmmakers who are just beginning out there?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is to learn the fundamentals, because what I noticed today with the technology, all you have to do is push a button and things start working. Where when I started, I started back in film, with Bolex cameras and stuff like that, and everything was mechanical. You had to learn why this machine worked, because if it broke down, you had to fix it, and a lot of times you had to fix it on site. So you're on set and something happens, you gotta start working on it and get it fixed so you can keep going. But I think today, with the iPhones and with the DSLRs and things like that, people get cameras and just push a button and they don't understand, what it means to white balance. And, they don't understand what the ISO mean, and then the aperture and all that stuff. So I always say, learn the fundamentals of the craft. And even with the screenwriting, it's easy now to just go and get a final draft and it's already formatted for you and you just start writing, so you need to learn the fundamentals of why these things are happening. And then I always say, learn the history of what you're doing. If you're a screenwriter, if you're a cinematographer or actor, director, learn the history behind it. And then be persistent. It's going to be ups and downs. You're not going to, hit, and you don't know what may hit. You just got to be persistent and just do the work.
Yeah. I in regards to that, I call the when you're just getting started, I call the rough spot the first 100 feet. And if you can get past the first 100 feet, then you've earned your place in whatever.
Right. And I always say that, the 10,000 hour rule applies to this here. If you're a screenwriter, you're going to spend 10,000 hours writing. Your director, cinematographer, actor, anything that involves in this, it's going to, the 10,000 hour rule applies. You have to put in the work, and that's just it. Another thing too, you never know when you're working on a, if you're working on a project for free, you're doing free work, and what we do, that happens a lot. You don't know who you may meet on that project, so when you go into that project, even though you're working for free, you work as hard and try to be technically sound in what you do as if you were standing next to Spike Lee, Quentin Tarantino, or Denzel Washington. You know what I'm saying? It should make a difference. You should have the same work ethic and mindset going into it.
Same level of professionalism.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the current state of the industry and what the future may be for it?
I think the current state is great for people at our level because, like I say, coming from film back in the old days and coming from where there were gatekeepers with distribution and things like that, a lot of that stuff has been eliminated. So you can make a short film and actually stream it somewhere. It used to be you make a short film, you had to go through the festival route, and then you got to hope that somebody may pick up on it, and you might get some type of distribution, like over in a foreign country or something like that. You didn't really know how that worked over there and this and that. Like all the information on distribution is out there now. There's no hidden secrets anymore. You could find out, you just got to investigate that in terms of the technology and everything. The technology is such where, like I said before, you could push a button and things will work. The cost of the technology is within reach, and like I say, now, you can make a short film. You could set up your own app and all this and that, and distribute it yourself, or you could go through some, one of the lower markets distributors and get it streamed, I mean, and get streamed all over the world. I mean, the I always say the microchip and the internet is the greatest thing for filmmakers, so it just opened up everything. So I tell the young people today, you got the opportunity to make films. When I hear the excuses, I tell them, you don't have any excuses, because it's all been set up for you to succeed. You just gotta get out there, learn the fundamentals, know your history, and be persistent at what you do. That's what you got to do, and put some action to the effort. Stay professional, and you'll be all right.
Right. Yeah. Because it's all at our fingertips now. Everything.
Right.
Because I think you started in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So did I, and it was like, VHS was acceptable. And we were reaching for 35 millimeter film, or
right,
16 millimeter at best.
That's right. Like I was telling, like when you and I was just talking the other day, and it's like, yeah, you had to shoot on film with that Bolex camera, things of that sort, and you had to change that film out with the changing bag, and then you didn't get the instant gratification of seeing what you was doing. You had to send that film over to the lab over in Pittsburgh or whatever, and then you had to wait for it to come back. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you kids today get the instant gratification of seeing your work, you know what I mean, and all that stuff, and you guys could take it, you guys can shoot it and edit it and get it out through YouTube or whatever, like in the same day. It was impossible to do that when we first started out. There was no way we could do that, and now it can be done instantly. So I just think it's a great time to make films today.
Yeah, so do I. Let's see. What are your thoughts? Well, you've already covered this pretty much. What are your thoughts on the changes in technology, the availability, the opportunity for the indie filmmaker today?
Yeah. Like I said before, it is so great that the corporations and the companies that came up with this technology and stuff. Like last night, I was thinking, like, my next short, I was going to shoot with my smartphone. I was going to use my DSLR. I said, because I keep hearing, like the movie Tangerine was shot with a smartphone and all that stuff. I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I did some investigation last night, and I'm telling you, man, the companies that have came up with the anamorphic lenses and stuff like this for your smartphone now, and the apps that you can use now, with your smartphone. I mean, it's just incredible. And I was like, okay, I thought this was going to be a heavy learning curve to shoot my short with my smartphone. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like, that the product is out there. And it's not that hard to get into, to get the cage and the cage that you need to put your camera in and all this and that. And I mean, it's just like, wow, okay, this is going to be kind of fairly easy to get into here. So, and like I said, when we started out, I mean, there wasn't even a smartphone. So, you know what I'm saying? So, okay, so a 10-year-old can make a movie now. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yeah, right. On the flip side, it floods the market with a lot of product. So now, So now you really got to get into the marketing and the promoting of your product. You really got to learn how to promote your stuff on social media and keep the attention of people over several months and things like that. So that aspect of filmmaking, people definitely got to get more into. It's, but we just had to make a film, send it out to festivals and stuff like that. Now you got to get more engaged. You got to develop a brand and develop a following, because everybody could put stuff out now. So how do you separate yourself? You do that with the marketing and the promotions. And, like my film that I just shot, I Choose Zero, and about sisters doing a carjacking to earn money to go to Atlanta, and they discover a baby in the back. So now they got to do, what is the fate of the child? So
concept. I love that concept that you had there. That's a winner right
there. Yeah, thank you. So, part of my promotion when the film is done is that I'm gonna have a contest for one of the reborn dolls. And set up a contest where you watch the film, and then there's going to be a trivia. The answer to trivia, you win the doll. These are things that you just gotta kind of put an entrepreneurial sense into the marketing and promotion of your films to get people to watch, to get people to pay attention over a period of time. And of course you gotta get the emails and build up your email list and all that stuff, and you gotta get with the Instagram and Facebook and the TikTok and the Twitter and then the LinkedIn. You gotta do all. You gotta just gotta get involved in all of that. So all of that aspect has come into play when you're a filmmaker as well.
Yeah, you've got to know all the sides of it, the marketing.
Yeah. Right.
If anyone wants to find your work, where would they find it?
Okay, well, you could go to my Film Freeway and look there. Matter of fact, on my Film Freeway, I got it set up where you can see a day of racism on there. My film that I shot, Perspective, I directed this film. Bryant Anderson, no relation to me, she wrote and produced it. I directed it. That's on there. You could watch it on there too. I also got a few of my screenplays on there that have been selected into screenplay competitions. You could read those screenplays as well. I got them open to the public to read, because my thing as a screenwriter, I want people to see my work and to see where my voice is at, what style of writing, and what genre I typically write in. So you could go read my bio about me. You could watch a few of the things that I've done. And you can read some of the stuff that I've written, so you get the, you get multiple things when you go to my Film Freeway site there. So, hopefully when you, do the editing of this or whatever, you can, put that up there, put that across so people could, go to it and check it out.
Okay, I will do that. As a matter of fact, it's on the screen right now.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Is there anything particular that you're working on? You've kind of touched on this already, that you're working on right now that you want to bring attention to?
Yeah, well, like I said, I just finished up I Choose Zero. My next short what I want to shoot with the smartphone is called Lovely Sunday Drive. It's a short. It's a story about a sister who has to navigate her dictatorial sister to get her driving lessons done for that day. So she got a sister that's going to be overbearing when she's trying to take her driving lessons. So she got to try to navigate that. So that's my next short that I'm going to shoot. And I'm going to my film. The screenplay that I'm writing that I'm going to shoot next year, my feature, is called, the working title so far is called Hammer, and it's about a businesswoman who tried to hide her murders while she's preparing for a business trip. So, so that's the also as a filmmaker, you kind of got to understand markets too. Got to understand what people want to watch. And I'm not necessarily saying that you can't write whatever you want to write, but you should have an understanding and right understanding of the markets. And it seems like right now that female-led thriller is things that people like to watch, even if they go to the movies to see it, or they're sitting at home and they're going through the streaming sites. That typically what people like to watch. So that's one of the reasons why I'm writing this screenplay and I'm going to shoot that film next year. It fits that market of the female thriller.
Okay, yeah, and I love your concepts. They're really they're intriguing. They draw me in. I want to see that. Those are things that I want to see.
And typically when I'm writing, I usually I come up with the idea. And if I could write a log line for it, then I know I got something. And then I go through this is all, screenwriting techniques, like the cycle of story, where, you could go on the internet and look that up, the cycle of story, and that kind of helps you along the way. So I always, is there conflict in this story? The goals of the person in the story, and then, like I said, if I could write a log line, if I could go through the cycle of story, now I know I could, start formulating the outline and things like that. Now, I typically write and rewrite at the same time. It's, some people like to write the whole screenplay and then rewrite it. I typically write and rewrite because I got to flush out the ideas as things are going.
Yeah. And I have another question for you. Let's see, I just got a notice on my screen.
Yeah.
The other question that I had is the short that you're shooting with the smartphone, determine whether or not you shoot with a smartphone for your feature or test run?
No, well, with the feature, I may, I may rent camera gear. It's all depending. That's going to involve budgets and things of that sort. So if it's budgeted where I could get camera gear and say like a Red or something like that, because that's what a lot of people are shooting with, the Red, or people are shooting with the Blackmagic 6K Pro and all that stuff like that. So I may go in that realm, but you never know. By the time I get to that point, some new technology may come out. It's new technology is coming out every 6 months. So when you're in that pre-production process, the pre-production process is going to take weeks to do, so shooting this is going to be kind of like in the traditional sense of making a film, where you're going to have that pre-production process that's going to take weeks, location scouting, auditions, and things of that sort, insurances, and, getting insurance policies and things like that, and then you go into your production, and then you go into your post-production. So one note, this right here, I want to have my distribution plan in place before I even shoot one scene of the movie. You want to know the ending of the project, in terms of, who you're going to market to, how you're going to get the product, so you want to know your distribution aspects before you even get into pre-production. You want to know that, kind of like when, a lot of people, when they write screenplays, they write the ending first and then write to get to the ending. Well, when you're making a movie, you want to know the ending in terms of, okay, what's the distribution plan? you know, before you start making the film. So now you know, hey, we got to make this film because, and we want to try to hit this release date that we have set up because we got distribution things in line. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's on that level. It's a next level thing.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. Great strategy, great method of approaching the work and the business of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when you're seeking investors, and things like that, they want to know return on investments, and so you gotta have a complete business plan when you're going that route. So but the shorts I'm doing, I got the equipment, I got the talent, I know actors, so hey, let's get together, let's do this, et cetera, because you do that to it's kind of like preseason. You're doing that to stay sharp, you know what I'm saying? So when you get to the project, the ambitious project, like what I'm going to do next year, you know what you're doing, you feel comfortable, you have your confidence level there, and then you're ready to wear all the hats that need to be worn to make that film. Because you're going to be, I'm going to write, I'm going to direct, I'm going to produce, things like that. So I'll be doing part of the location scouting, part of the distribution business plan, talking to investors, things like that. It's just a whole plethora of hats that you got to wear when you're an independent filmmaker at this level. So, it's just, and also with the post-production. So, you be in there editing with the editor, things like that, So all the marketing and promotion, all that stuff, you're in it to win it.
That's a great note to end on. So thank you so much, Bryant, for doing this interview for me. And it's been 3 tries and thorough.
yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me. And like I say, I'm not, I don't do a lot of Zoom stuff and things like that. So, I was real worried that I wasn't going to have my stuff ready over here. I was like, I was worried about pushing certain buttons, and I said, let me just sit still if this thing works. Just sit still and let it work until it's over.
Yeah, exactly. Hands off.
Right.
Well, thank you again. And we look forward to seeing your work and in the future and in the present now. Just go to that website that's at the bottom of the screen. And so Bryant Anderson, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
All right. And that'll do it for us at the Playwright's Corner. I'm Peter Anthony Fields, and I'll see you next time.